from there.
We've been good friends and close friends and always will be.
Sadly, Marguerite passed away 10 years ago. Alan needed support at this terribly difficult time.
Obviously, it was a real tragic event, Marguerite passing away, and obviously hit Alan hard.
Alan's grown-up children had moved away, so for day-to-day company, he began working at his friend's shop more often.
Alan supported me in many ways. I was all on my own, so the shop was like a connection to the people in the town for me. And Alan and his family, they kept me company as well, so it was like a social thing then.
The two Allans had been through a lot together over the years, but nothing like the terror they have to face when their shop is attacked by violent robbers armed with a shotgun. It's a midweek afternoon in late summer. As the jeweller's security cameras show, there aren't any customers in the shop.
We were doing some jobs in the watch window.
We were there rearranging and pricing up the watches.
I was concentrating on fixing one of the displays.
They're so absorbed in their work, they don't immediately notice two men walking in. One of them is carrying a sawed-off shotgun.
He shouted, "Get down, get down."
So I was just startled, and as I turned round, he levelled the gun at my face and said, "It is loaded, I will shoot you, get on the floor."
You can't take it all in. It's just a barrel of a gun you can see, and it was pure fear, and you just obey what he's saying then.
But this is Alan's shop, and he's determined to defend it. He bravely ignores the robber's order, stays on his feet, and looks closely at the gun pointing directly at him.
My instinct was, being a single barrel, I thought, well, he's only got one shot. And I thought if I could grab the gun and push it up towards the ceiling, if he fired it, that would be the end of it. I've got a chance then, I take him on.
He takes an enormous risk and tries to grab the gun. But the robber pulls it back. Thankfully, he doesn't fire.
I thought Alan was courageous, and I mean, he was protecting his livelihood and his goods.
It's either comply or fight, you know, and I wanted to have a go.
Despite not getting the gun, Alan's still determined to stop the robbers. He moves towards the smaller of the two men who's grabbing watches from a window display.
And I went after him, and that's where I made a bit of a mistake.
Alan only takes his eye off the gunman for a split second, but it's long enough for the armed robber to lunge towards him and strike him hard on the jaw with the butt of his weapon.
It really hit me well, and I'd gone, not collapsed, but certainly put me down on the floor.
He's still conscious, and the other robber kicks him to move him out of the way. Alan tries to get up again, even though the gunman continues his threats.
He was shouting, "Down, down, down."
What they're looking for is you to stay on the floor, them to rifle the shop, take everything they want and walk out of the door. Obviously, the more difficult you can make it for them, then there's a point in time they're going to say, we're going to have to get out of here.
I thought that the gun was going to go off, and I thought Alan would get shot.
I've got this far now, he hasn't shot me, so, you know, he's not going to shoot me.
Alan is staking his life on the belief that slowing the robbers down won't cause the gunman to lose his temper and shoot him. The smaller robber kicks him again, and then goes into the next room where the second-hand jewellery is kept. He rifles the cabinets. Out of camera view, Alan tries to get up once more. A large crash is heard as he's forced back down.
My object was to get at the panic alarm, just to disrupt them as much as I could.
There are several panic alarms in the shop, and Alan's aim is to get to the one in the second-hand jewellery room. But the other robber is still in there, and Alan needs to wait for the right moment. The gunman doesn't just want jewellery, he wants cash too.
He stepped over me and then said, "Where's the money?" I said, it's in the safe. I showed him the actual tray where it was.
When Alan said the cash is over here, I had a little bit of a panic on that. But, luckily Alan sort of had the presence of mind just to tell him where the petty cash was.
All I gave him was the money from day-to-day takings.
The gunman suspects there's more money hidden somewhere and demands that Alan tells him where it is.
That was where I saw the opportunity. And I said, you won't find it, I'll have to show you where it is. Then I managed to get back up again and I made a grab for the door.
Out of view of the cameras, Alan reaches the room with a panic button. He tries to shut the door behind him, but the robber chases him and stops the door closing with his gun.
As I shut the door, he managed to get the gun jammed round the door.
One of the cameras picks up the sound of the robber trying to force Alan to open the door.
Open that door. What door? Open this door.
He's now stuck, with the gunman on the far side of the door and a smaller, unarmed robber behind him.
I was in a bit of a catch-22 situation because I couldn't move then.
The robber behind Alan now hits him over the head with a jewellery tray. The camera glimpses Alan's head as he falls to the floor. But he still manages to reach the panic button and presses it. The alarm sounds and it has an immediate result. The raiders run out of the shop.
It's relief that they'd gone, and my mind was just thinking about everything. It's just the aftershock that you realise what you'd gone through.
I was obviously a little bit dazed from being hit. Then I think there's probably a little bit of shock came in then. You just feel, I've lost stock, how much has gone, what's the situation?
Alan's lost tens of thousands of pounds worth of jewellery, but he hasn't lost his life or been seriously injured. The robber's next victims might not be so lucky. Later, Warwickshire Police set up a major manhunt to catch these violent, threatening men involving all the latest technology. Phone tracking, body mapping, car tracing, and CCTV surveillance. If there's one thing the police and public enjoy, it's seeing a crook make a mess of things. Like this chap who wants to use his pickup truck to pick up a cash machine from inside a garage. After checking to see if there's a camera, well, yes there is, but no point in stopping now, eh? He gets to work. Stage 1, smashing his way in so he can get to the ATM. Stage 2, hooking the heavy cash machine onto this chain so he can drag it out with his truck. But there's a problem. Like its owner, his chain is missing a link. Amazingly, the thief doesn't notice his chain's broken, even when he bends down right next to it. He gets into his truck and drives off, towing absolutely nothing. After finally discovering the broken chain, he returns to try again. But soon realises he's come up short in more ways than one. Sheepishly, he leaves, with his dodgy chain trailing behind him. The police have released this footage, hoping it will go viral and start a public chain reaction that leads to the bungling burglar being caught. It shouldn't be long. As far as criminals go, this one is definitely the weakest link. Three burglars try to outsmart the security system of a motorcycle dealership. They scuttle around like mice looking for things to steal. But they are about to throw themselves into a trap. Kendal in the Lake District is home to Neil and his wife Maria.
Yes? Yeah. Okay.
The couple has always had a passion for motorbikes, and 15 years ago they decided to buy a motorcycle dealership.
Being into motorcycles is more like a way of life. It involves you every minute of the day, it involves your holidays, Our honeymoon was spent at a motorcycle hill climb.
This business here in Kendal came up on the open market. We took the plunge and went forward into the motorcycle industry.
Neil and Maria first met when they were teenagers. They were childhood sweethearts until they drifted apart and Maria moved away. They met again 18 years later.
The old flame was rekindled and it was absolutely fantastic. It was being back at 15 and 16-year-old again.
But soon after getting back together, the couple were dealt a serious blow. Maria was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
It was primary progressive multiple sclerosis, which is a very, very, very cruel disease. But being very positive, we took it on board and pushed forward. We said, no, we're not going to be beaten.
Despite this major setback in their lives, Maria and Neil have been determined to continue to grow their business. They've worked hard together to build and protect it, including advanced security measures with sensors and cameras inside and outside the premises.
We have confidence in our alarm system. It is the top-of-the-range alarm.
And the couple's top-of-the-range security system is soon to be tested when burglars break into their workshop. It's 10:30 at night when a mystery figure places what looks like a motorcycle tyre over the lens of a camera outside their workshop. Then a few minutes later, an intruder alarm is triggered and Neil and Maria are woken at home by a phone call from the security company that monitors the building.
The first alarm warning can be a false alarm.
I did suspect that wind had actually vibrated the door, setting off the alarm.
Because we know that everything's backed up with all the sensors inside, we don't have to worry too much about it.
Neil asks the security company to reset the alarm remotely and goes back to bed. But he isn't going to get much sleep tonight. Another security camera shows how a little later, a man has placed a ladder against the front of the building and climbed up. An accomplice appears and braces the ladder. The man rips an alarm siren from the wall and throws it to the ground. He climbs down and they take the ladder and siren away. A few minutes later, internal cameras show an intruder inside the building. The alarm has been activated, but the burglar ignores the siren. At home, Neil is woken by another call from the security company.
The second shout was a confirmed entry and the police have already been notified.
It's then jump up, you've got to get in.
It's heart-stopping, your adrenaline then starts to pump.
Maria, do you need anything? No, I'm fine. You can get going.
I have to leave Maria unattended at night on her own in the house, which is a very difficult shout. Grab the dog, pick up a handy piece of wood and jump in the car and off we go.
As Neil starts the 10-minute journey, he realises he may have to face an intruder. He doesn't know it, but he'd actually be outnumbered. There are now 2 men inside his premises. The burglars have broken into the workshop where the customers' bikes are kept. The men go upstairs where they destroy equipment and rip out cables in a vain attempt to stop the alarm. A few minutes later, they come back down and continue looking for things to steal. But there's no money on the premises. Neil is only minutes away.
On that 10-minute drive, 101 things go through your mind. What if there is somebody there? How do you approach them? We hope the police are going to be there.
It's the not knowing what's happening. I mean, that is a horrible situation.
The burglars vanish out of sight of their cameras. Maybe they've got away in the nick of time. When Neil reaches the workshop, he gets a surprise.
The police were there, which was fantastic.
Officers had got to the scene just before Neil, and it was lucky for him that they did.
I was met by an officer who quickly told me that they were in the middle of the arrest. The adrenaline kicks in again.
Neil's astonished the intruders have been captured so quickly.
The sense of relief was heartwarming that the burglars were caught, and I was actually very glad for the police. It was quite an unusual situation to catch the burglars in the middle of a burglary.
The thieves had picked the wrong escape route and somehow managed to get themselves completely trapped.
On exiting the building, They had actually made way over a wall, jumped into a sealed compound of a builder's yard of all places. Really, they'd almost imprisoned themselves with no way out.
Neil phones Maria to tell her the news.
It's a great sense of relief that one is okay, two, that nothing major had happened as of such, although they'd been in the building. A lot of the damage they caused, we didn't find out till we were up and running the next day.
In broad daylight, Neil pieces together what happened.
They cut with an angle grinder across here and actually lifted the bar there. They only had an 8-inch space to get through.
But when they did get through, despite their best efforts to disable the alarm, it still alerted the security company, who called Neil and the police.
It was that blaséness that it didn't seem to matter, that they thought there would be no consequences, no police coming down on them.
Little did they know all sorts of different little tricks occur once the second level of alarm has been triggered.
Neil and Maria's state-of-the-art security and a poor choice of escape route proved to be the burglars' undoing. In court, all three men pleaded guilty to burglary with intent to steal. One was sentenced to 2 years in prison, and the others were each jailed for 18 months. The burglars had caused £5,000 worth of damage to cables, equipment and doors. But Neil and Maria haven't let it get them down.
We tend to deal with things right on the chin. We got back to reasonable life reasonably quickly under the circumstances.
If there is a silver lining to what went on, it's the fact that it showed Kendal Police Force are absolutely brilliant.
For the couple, it's business as usual.
We're going to venture into the road side of motorcycling in the future. We're pushing forward again. There is nothing in the world that, as a strong couple, we can't face.
Neil and Maria's sophisticated security system helped foil an attack at their premises. But it isn't just businesses that are spending money on security. Many homeowners are too. So what are the do's and what are the don'ts when it comes to investing in CCTV?
Just make sure that when you install them, they are high enough that they can't be tampered with and that they're facing in the correct direction.
Obviously, the image of someone's face in comparison to an image of their feet is going to be much more helpful to the police during any kind of investigation.
I really appeal that people have cameras that can record both in daylight and obviously hours of darkness. But ultimately, if you can't record very clearly in darkness, again, you can take simple steps by utilising other lighting, floodlights, etc., that can come on when your camera comes on.
I'd always consider that people think about where they put their hard drive that's recording their CCTV imagery. It's possible now that you can record it on the cloud, which is a very safe place, but if you have it at home, then make sure it's out of sight and somewhere that a criminal's not likely to find it. Technology
continues to change, and we're aware of now lots of people can monitor CCTV remotely, on holiday, at work.
Whilst this offers many advantages, I would encourage you to purchase secure systems so that you can't be hacked.
Back to Atherstone, where there's been an armed robbery at a jeweller's. The owner, Alan, has bravely tried to defend his shop and has been hit in the face with the butt of a shotgun. His colleague, who's also called Alan, has been forced onto the floor and threatened. The robbers escaped with £30,000 worth of valuables.
They were in the shop probably only 2 or 3 minutes, but to me it seemed forever. It seemed a lifetime.
I didn't stop them. That was the initial thing, is I felt that I should have stopped them.
Trying to stop them now is Warwickshire Police Detective Inspector Neil Reader and his team.
In all the years that I've been in CID, I've dealt with many serious offences, but on watching the CCTV and seeing the victims treated the way they were, with such aggression, it was disturbing. So our urgency there was to locate and arrest the gunman, to remove that gun from the street.
Neil's team has an early lead. By a stroke of luck, eyewitnesses saw the robbers making their getaway and that they were in a white car driven by a woman. Neil's team sets out to trace that vehicle's route using council's CCTV recordings.
We knew that the vehicle had gone into the car park behind the shop, so I thought we could capture it then leaving, which we did. So that gave us an opportunity to see the direction of travel.
Officers search the roads along the robbers' escape route and find the white getaway car parked up. It turns out to be a courtesy car from a garage. Neil's team phones the garage to get the contact details for the driver.
The female driver, she'd had an accident in her vehicle, gone through the insurance, and the insurance company provided the courtesy car.
Inside the courtesy car, officers find a hire agreement for a different vehicle, an Audi Q7. Neil believes the Audi could be the car the robbers transferred into when they dumped the white car.
It was certainly a gift to the investigation. We were able to find out where the vehicle was hired and when it was hired.
The Audi was rented the day before the robbery from a company in Birmingham.
So immediately, we go to Birmingham to speak to the hire company.
The hire company's CCTV shows the female driver and the gunman together with the two getaway vehicles in the company's car park. And that's not all. The company's paperwork reveals the woman's mobile phone number.
We have her phone number. We later discover his phone number because of having hers. So it was massive to us. It allows us to use techniques to try and locate those phone numbers, to try and see where they've been, if they're together, and so on and so forth.
Neil now has a home address for the woman. He sends a team to arrest her. Unfortunately, she isn't there, but it's still not a wasted trip. They discover a link to the gunman.
We're able to gather information which led us to identify the gunman.
The prime suspect is a 27-year-old from Birmingham called Junior Lang. The gunman disguised himself with a hat and sunglasses during the robbery and left no forensic evidence. But Neil can overcome the lack of concrete evidence at the scene if he can prove Lang and the woman planned the raid.
We were looking to prove a conspiracy to rob the premises, so we tracked backwards, if you like, to come forwards. We simply backtracked to where the conspiracy actually begins.
Neil's team analyses the couple's mobile phone data to piece together their movements prior to the raid. The data leads them to a hotel a few miles from Allen's Jewellers and more useful CCTV.
So the image we have on screen at the moment is from the hotel that they stayed at 2 days before the incident occurred, and shows the start of the planning. It shows them together at the reception, booking the room, and allows us to understand that they're together.
The suspects were also caught on camera leaving the hotel the following morning. They travelled to Atherstone Town Centre, and the woman went to Allen's Jewellers to do a recce.
It's a day before the robbery occurs. For me, this shows clear planning. She's looking around the layout of the shop, and she stays there for some time engaging the staff.
Lang and the woman then left Atherstone to go and hire their second getaway car before carrying out the robbery the next day. Neil's team has more than enough evidence to arrest Lang. Just over a week after the robbery, officers track him down. When they arrest him, they get an unexpected bonus.
Fortunately for ourselves, unfortunately for him, on arrest, on searching his person, we found items of jewellery which were linked to the shop and the robbery itself.